So now I would like to talk about the Danube Region Strategy Priority Area 5 to manage environmental risks, Danube Regional Operative Flood Management and Cooperation Program, and the implementation of this program. So from Mr. Peter Langer we heard some information about the Danube strategy, but perhaps some of you it's not familiar that much, just a few other information. So as you all know, we have 9 EU countries and 3 accession countries and 2 neighborhood countries, sorry. And what I would like to highlight that during the Hungarian EU presidency was established the strategy officially, and next year, 2017, Hungary will hold the rotating presidency of the Danube Region Strategy, and our aim to give focus for the safety issues, mainly energy and water safety in the Danube region. It will be the main topic of the annual forum next year. Okay, about the priority areas, we have 12 priority areas. As it was mentioned, every area is coordinated by 2 countries. I highlighted with green the Hungarian co-coordinated areas like the water quality and the environmental risk areas, which is really important for us. About the governance structure of the strategy, just briefly, we have the 12 priority areas on the operational, from the operational side. Each priority area has a steering group delegated by all the countries. 1 member was delegated by all countries, and the coordination is done by the national coordinators. And on political level, of course, the ministerial level, which we can understand. And the DSP is a new element here, and mainly has tasks with communication and coordination inside the strategy and communication for outside. Okay, the strategy was established in 2011, as I mentioned. The first years where we can say it was the period of preparation, mainly just to find the main challenges, just to start to build the linkages between the countries and the organizations. And now, since 2014, we have another period which is mainly lays on the projects, or should be laid on the projects, to implement them, to have tangible results in this area, to allocate the sources which we can use in the Danube region, and to solidify the cooperation and to enlarge the networking. So the strength of the region mainly depends on the cooperation of the EU countries and non-EU countries. But we can say transition, but let me say, I think nowadays every country in the Danube region is a transition country.
In the world.
In the world as well, yes, thanks. So the toolkit we have seen on one slide already. We have many different tools to use: the territorial cooperation programs, the transnational programs for the Central Europe and the Danube transnational program, or we can count with the EIB and other own sources of the Danube region strategy is the START project fund, for example, or we can help the transition countries with TAIEX or twinning programs as well, just to support the harmonization with the EU legislation, or many other possibilities, the Life Plus, the Horizon 2020, Erasmus Plus, and so on, which we can use for our aims. Okay, so after this general description, I would like to concentrate at first on the activities of Priority Area 5 to manage environmental risk. Our activities were organized under 3 targets, and these targets were revised this year and adopted by the national coordinators. What kind of targets we have in Priority Area 5? First, and perhaps the most important, but I cannot distinguish them, droughts and water scarcity issues in line with the river basin management planning. And the second, the flood risk management, and the third is the database of accident risk spots and contaminated sites along the Danube or in the whole Danube region. So these are the main 3 targets, and below the targets we have 8 different actions in our action plan. The first one is to adopt an overarching flood management plan at basin level. As we could see from Mr. Ivan Zawadsky, it was adopted this year in February, and it was made by ICPDR. And our experts also contributed to this management plan, mainly to the Annex 2, and this cooperation program, which I will talk soon, is part of this Annex 2 of the DFRMP. Okay, just quickly, the second action is the support of wetland and floodplain restoration. Of course, in line with the flood protection issues and to respond to the flood risks. For this aim, we started a project, the Danube Floodplain Project. It was also mentioned just a few minutes ago. It's mainly coordinated under the Romanian co-coordination of PA5 in close cooperation with ICPDR as well. And the third action, I'm lucky that Mr. Eddero is here, who developed or worked on the development of the European Flood Awareness System, is also one action together, GRC and ICPDR, from the part of GRC and ICPDR. The fourth, operational cooperation among the emergency response authorities. We have some tools to promote this kind of cooperation, like letter of recommendations. I will talk a bit later. So we could give our letter of recommendation for different projects in the Danube region, like the Sea Risk project was implemented. Also, another activity was from PA5 that we were hosting a Bosnian expert for nearly a month in 2015, just to see and get familiarized or acquainted with the Hungarian restoration projects, flood protection works, and so on. It's also a tool to help the transition countries. And one larger piece of our work in this field is the case of the Solotvino salt mine in Ukraine. It's a really new initiation, I can say. So most of the actions happened during this summer, which is tangible. And Action 5 and Action 6 is closely related here. The database, to update the database of accident risk spots and contaminated sites, and Action 6, the rapid response procedure in accidental river pollution. So going back to this Solotvino salt mine, this is situated in Ukraine next to the Tisa River and close to the Romanian border, close to the Maramuresh area. And it was abandoned, and nowadays monitoring is also a lack here. and the Tisza River and the groundwater is contaminated by salt during the last years, and only the Hungarian water directorates, regional directorates, had some measurements measuring the Tisza River quality. Mr. István Jó had a visit in Ukraine in 2015, and after some negotiations, finally, with our initiation, the Ukrainian and the Hungarian disaster management directorates submitted their request for the European Union to start the civil protection mechanism here in Solotvino, and it started in this year in February, and the scoping mission was elaborated just this summer in July with the participation of and coordination of PA4 water quality and PA5 environmental risk area. And this international expert team realized that the problem is bigger than they thought. So they made quick measures and organized an advisory mission which will start in the next 2 weeks. So it will be a 3-week advisory mission, an international one with experts. You can see some pictures, and older ones from the salt mine, and it was also used for to help some people, to curing some people, sorry. And now you can see the surface of the abandoned mine with the collapses and the craters with salty water which is flowing sometimes into the Tisza River. But these collapses are also affecting the real estate and the inhabitants as well, and the infrastructure. So, and continue with Action 7, to anticipate the impacts of climate change through research. So how we would like to work together with researchers and scientists. First, we can say, or I can start with the last point. We are planning to finance a thematic issue next week on the scientific journal of the Hungarian Hydrological Society, which will have its centennial, so it will be 100 years old, this organization. So we can cooperate next year, and we are waiting, we will wait for the input of scientists in the topic of droughts and water scarcity. And the second, we can also supporting projects in drought management with letter of recommendations, like the Drid Danube, the Danube Clim or the Vakos projects. And also ICPDR will update the Danube climate change study, which they prepared earlier. And Action 7 and Action 8 is in close relation with each other. Okay, any other activities like why is it profitable to receive our letter of recommendations? In some CBC programs, we could reach to have some plus points for the projects if they can show this letter of recommendation of each priority area, like in the Hungarian-Serbian CBC program, plus 1 point for a project which received this. And we also have the START projects, we selected START projects. If we are thinking about transition countries in Ukraine, we supported a project to improve cooperation of volunteer rescue teams in this country. For example, we are organizing stakeholder conferences. The last one was in 2015 November with more than 150 participants. It's a really good event for networking and to get some information about funding in relation with Danube Transnational Program and so on. And we are cooperating with other international organizations like the Carpathian Convention or the Global Water Partnership, for example. Okay, the Danube Region Operative Flood Management and Cooperation Program, or shortly, as we used to say, this is the DR Oper and Cooper. The background: there was a political will after the 2013 floods, a strong political need from different sides, and also scientific need, also from in Hungary, but from Austria, or the president of Hungary emerged his voice to deal with flood forecasting and with flood risks, and the commissioner, Mr. Johannes Hahn, as well requested assistance for the Solidarity Fund, and said that EUSDR is the platform to handle flood risks and flood forecasting in the Danube region. So this slide was taken from your colleagues, from Mr. Marina Babic and Dejan Vlatkovic on the ICPD RFPG meeting. So we have seen these data many times today about the effects of the 2014 floods in Serbia, Bosnia, Herzegovina, and Croatia. I heard from the president that here in Serbia 5% of the ENI was the damage, but in Bosnia and Herzegovina 15% of the GDP was reached thanks to this flood in damages. So how it looks like: we had the 2013 floods, the political impetus, the 2014 floods, and then, or in between, we started a flood survey, a so-called flood survey, and we adopted this program in 2015, and now we are in the implementation phase of the measures. Okay, what was the general aim of the program? To collect from all Danube countries the experiences of after the floods, what they need to develop this topic, and the answer, to find the answers for flood risks, and to conclude somehow this collection of needs, and to develop an action program. Okay, so we would like to cope with floods at basin level, of course, to harmonize the development programs in the Danube Basin, and also to coordinate the emergency response authorities' work here, and another challenge, somehow try to incorporate our needs into the financial framework of the 2014 and 2020 financial period. So the flood survey was done in many countries in the Danube region, and it lasted from 2013 until the autumn of 2014. So we had negotiations in Serbia, in Ukraine, in Bosnia and Herzegovina, in Montenegro, and with Moldova as well. So with all the transition countries, as I can say. Okay, and the program itself was adopted in 2015, and as I mentioned, afterwards, when the flood risk management plan of the Danube region was elaborated, it was incorporated into the Annex 2, and there was a Danube declaration adopted by the ministers of the Danube region, which welcomed and supported this DR Oper and Cooper program as well. So from a really high political level relating to our work. So I don't want to tell all these lessons learned, just one, for example, from Serbia, what kind of lessons we had. It was mentioned in Serbia that bilateral agreements are outdated. So it was in 2014, and as I heard today from Mr. Milan Rinkic, that it's already under update. So processes started already, and we also working in parallel. So the main measures of this program, the first need of the Danube region to improve flood forecasting. The first two together. The third, the coordination of operation of hydraulic structures or operative flood management plans and so on. I will talk detailed about these ones. So the first and second measure, improvement of the forecasting. We issued many letters of recommendation for different projects in sub-basins mainly, and mainly in CBC programs in the EUSDR project in the Prut and the Siret river. It's a project of Romania, Moldova and Ukraine, or the Rab, the Drava Mura and the Laita rivers as well. And a second and much larger step to develop a project called DAR effort. The acronym of the project is DAR effort, and we submitted it for the first call of the DTP, but finally it was rejected. The partnership was built up from 7 countries, for example from Montenegro, from Serbia as well, and from Ukraine. So also incorporated the transition countries, and the Sava River Basin Commission was our partner as well. So now we would like to improve the project, and the main goals are to improve the cooperation at policy and in operational level as well, to harmonize practices in the Danube Basin, and the data exchange, because it's sometimes a question, it's not that well harmonized between each countries, and to have a model for flood forecasting. Just an example about the data frequency by the exchange. We can see if the frequency of the data is every 12 hours, and what happens if we have data from every 15 minutes. So the difference of the forecasting and the more precise forecasting is highlighted here on this graph. It can be a few dozen of centimeters difference. And if we take a case like it happened in 2000 in Szolnok along the Tisza River, in these cases this accuracy is really important, it's a must. Otherwise a huge problem can have in some parts of the Danube Basin. Okay, what kind of developments happened outside our work? As I mentioned, the flood risk management plan was elaborated. The Danube Declaration gave priority for measures with effective downstream effect, like forecasting and warning system and the exchange of informations. So this Danube Declaration highlighted as well the project. And other political level, the Intergovernmental Joint Commission of Economic Cooperation was done every year with different countries in Hungary or in our partners. So just to say, in this year, in 2016, for example, Moldova, Serbia and Romania committed in these papers of these negotiations that they intend to develop the forecasting systems in the Danube region. But I can also mention Montenegro, or earlier Croatia, Bosnia and Herzegovina and Bavaria. So now we would like to submit the project for the second call of the transnational program. We also have the support of the ICPDR. During the last standing working group meeting, the head of delegations were requested, and they understood the need and the importance of this initiation. And we are organizing a kick-off meeting in Budapest on the 21st of September with cooperation of ICPDR. And it's a flexible project at the moment, and we are open for for partners and the initiation of possible partners as well, for example, the Czerny Institute. Okay, other measures, the 3, 4, and 5, the coordination of hydraulic structure operation is really important for our work. There was one project, the Danube project, submitted by a Slovenian lead partner to the DTP, which received our letter of recommendation, and the operative flood management plans and sub-basin plans as well. Measures 6 and 8 together, the flood protection techniques and technology exchange and the experiences as well important in the Danube basin, and the harmonization of operative flood protection methods. So for that reason we started flood protection training in Bosnia in 2015 for 70 Bosnian experts, mainly working for the municipalities and the civil protection field, and it was really effective. The training was made by Hungarian chief water managers and with the ICPDR experts, and the World Bank was also participated. And I can highlight the TAIEX and twinning programs just to support the non-EU countries with the alignment of EU legislation. And finally, the measure 7, to develop an education and training network in the Danube basin. We are supporting an initiation for an international flood protection engineer postgraduate degree program, which is already working or running, in Baja at the Eötvös József College, but in Hungarian at the moment. Already more than 200 Hungarian experts received this degree. Here in this picture you can see this year 32 students received this flood protection engineer degree, and this higher education institute would like to involve, for example, the University of Novi Sad and one partner institute from Deggendorf from Bavaria as well. So finally, the benefits and added values of EUSDR PA5 activities. At first, to reinforce the major EU policy initiatives, mainly the Flood Directive and the Water Framework Directive, and to promote their implementation through projects. So just to have tangible results, not only strategies mainly or any other documents. We also would like to encourage the non-member states for cooperation and to contribute actively to the Danube strategy, because they are part of the strategy. Sometimes we can feel that some countries are not that interested, but we would like to help them finding their needs and the solution for their needs. We are facilitating setting up project consortiums, and I can say for the last sentence that management of water-related risks can avoid the instability in the Danube region. So thank you for your attention, and for further information you can also visit our website. Thank you.